Welcome to English Lab Channel. Tune in to natural fluency. Hello everyone. Welcome back to another session of the English Lab Channel. I'm Chris, and I'm joined by the always prepared Michelle. Today, we are tackling a topic that makes even the most confident people a little bit sweaty and nervous: job interviews. But specifically, we are looking at everything you need to do before you even walk through that door or open that Zoom link. Michelle, I remember you once told me about a friend who had a bit of a nightmare interview because of zero preparation, right?
Oh, Chris, don't remind me. My friend Lucas, bless his heart, he's a genius programmer, but he's a bit chaotic. He once got an interview for a huge tech firm, and he was so confident in his coding skills that he didn't do any groundwork at all.
Groundwork. That's a very solid word to start with. It sounds like something a construction worker does. Michelle, could you explain to our listeners why groundwork is important for an office job and what it actually involves?
Exactly. Think of your interview like a building. If the base isn't strong, the whole thing falls down. To do the groundwork means to do the preliminary or basic work that is needed before something can proceed. For a job interview, this means researching the company's history, their recent projects, and even their competitors. Lucas went into the interview not even knowing who the CEO was. When they asked him what he liked about their recent app update, he just stared at them in silence. It was painful.
Oh no, that's the definition of a nightmare. Doing your groundwork is the only way to show you're actually interested in the company, not just the paycheck. And part of that research is understanding what the company stands for, their core values.
Core values. I see that phrase on every About Us page on the internet, but I think many students just skip over it. Chris, can you explain why core values are more than just pretty words on a website?
That's a great point. Core values are the fundamental beliefs of a person or organization. They are the guiding principles that dictate behavior and action. For a company, it might be innovation, sustainability, or customer first. If you know these, you can use them in your answers. If a company values transparency and you talk about how much you love working in secret, you aren't going to get the job. It's about finding a match between your personality and their culture.
That is so true. I have a cousin, Martina, who's very passionate about the environment. She did a lot of research and found a company whose core values included zero waste. During the prep stage, she made sure to tailor her stories to show her own commitment to the planet.
Tailor? Usually I think of a person who fixes my suits when I say that word. Michelle, how do you tailor a story or a resume for an interview?
You don't need a needle and thread for this one. To tailor something means to make or adapt it for a particular purpose or person. In an interview context, it means you don't give the same copy-paste answer to every company. You adjust your examples to show exactly how your skills solve their specific problems. Martina didn't just say, "I'm a good manager." She said, "In my last job, I managed a project that reduced paper waste by 40%. She tailored her experience to fit their core values perfectly.
That's a pro tip right there. It takes more time, but it's so much more effective. Now, once you know the company, you have to look at yourself. You have to be ready to talk about your highs and lows.
Highs and lows. I love that expression. It sounds very poetic, like a song. But in a professional setting, Chris, how would you define what a candidate's highs and lows are?
It's a native way of talking about your strengths and weaknesses. Your highs are your successes and the things you're great at, and your lows are your challenges or areas where you need to improve. A common mistake is only preparing for the highs, but a smart interviewer will always ask about a time you failed. If you don't have a low ready to talk about, and more importantly, how you fixed it, you look like you lack self-awareness.
I remember my first interview. They asked for a weakness, and I said, "I'm a perfectionist." The interviewer actually rolled her eyes. It's such a cliche. Now I know that a real low is much more interesting if you can show what you learned from it. But let's talk about the highs for a second. You need to have a list of your accomplishments ready.
Accomplishments. That's a big word for B1 students. Michelle, can you give us a simpler way to understand what an accomplishment is and how to prepare them for the interview?
Sure, an accomplishment is something that has been achieved successfully. It's a goal you reached through hard work and skill. My advice for prep work is to write down 3 bullet points of things you're proud of in your career. Did you save the company money? Did you win an award? Did you help a difficult client? These are your proof that you can do the job. You can't just say, I'm hardworking. You need an accomplishment to prove it.
Exactly. Evidence is everything. Now, let's talk about the look. Even if it's a video call, you have to think about your attire.
Attire? That sounds very formal. Is that different from just saying clothes? Could you explain that to our listeners, Chris?
You're right, it is formal. Attire refers to clothes, especially fine or formal ones. In an interview, your attire is the first thing they see. Even if the company is casual, you should always dress one level higher than the daily office wear. I had a friend who went to an interview at a surf shop in a full three-piece suit. He looked ridiculous. But on the other hand, showing up for a t-shirt for a bank job is also a disaster. Part of your groundwork is finding out the vibe of the office so your attire matches their expectations.
A suit at a surf shop. That's hilarious. But he was definitely prepared. Once you have your research, your stories, and your clothes ready, you need to practice. You need to do a dry run.
Dry run. That's one of my favorite expressions. Michelle, does it have anything to do with the weather or being thirsty?
Not at all. A dry run is a rehearsal or a practice session of a process before it actually happens. For an interview, this means sitting down with a friend or even a mirror and saying your answers out loud. My coworker Elena does a dry run for everything. She even records herself on her phone to see if she's making weird faces or saying too much. It sounds silly, but it makes you so much more confident when the real thing starts.
I do the same thing. Sometimes the answer sounds great in your head, but when you say it out loud, it's a mess. A dry run helps you find those tongue twisters and fix them. And during that dry run, you should practice your elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch. I love this concept. Can you explain the story behind that name, Chris? Why are we talking about elevators in an interview?
It's a classic business term. Imagine you get into an elevator with the CEO of your dream company. You only have 30 seconds, the time it takes for the elevator to reach the top floor, to introduce yourself and make them interested in you. That is your elevator pitch. It's a succinct, persuasive sales pitch of who you are and what you do. In an interview, when they say, "Tell me about yourself," that is your cue to give your elevator pitch. It should be short, punchy, and exciting.
Short, punchy, and exciting. I love that. My elevator pitch used to be 5 minutes long. By the time I finished, the CEO would have already left the building. Now I keep it under 45 seconds. It's all about getting to the insight of your value quickly.
Insight. That's another high-level word. Michelle, how would you describe what an insight is and why an interviewer is looking for it?
An insight is a deep and accurate understanding of a specific subject or situation. It's not just knowing facts, it's understanding the why and the how. For example, if you're applying for a marketing job, an insight would be, I've noticed that customers in this region prefer video content over text because of X. That shows the interviewer that you don't just do tasks, but you actually think about the business. Having a couple of insights about the company's industry ready before the interview will make you stand out from everyone else.
That is a game changer. Most candidates just repeat what's on the website. If you provide an actual insight, you're already in the top 10%. Finally, before the big day, you might need to brush up on your technical skills or your English.
Brush up on? That sounds like I'm cleaning my teeth. Can you give us some other examples of how to use this phrasal verb, Chris?
Well, you should definitely brush your teeth too, but to brush up on something means to improve your knowledge of something you have already learned but partly forgotten. For example, if you haven't used Excel in 6 months, you should brush up on your formulas before the interview. Or if you're a B2 learner, you might want to brush up on your formal vocabulary. It's about polishing your skills so they're shiny and ready to use.
I always do that with my phrasal verbs. I feel like I forget them if I don't use them for a week. Well, Chris, we've covered a lot, from doing the groundwork to the final brush up. I feel like if someone follows all these steps, they will be the most prepared person in the building.
I agree. Preparation is the secret weapon against nerves. When you know your facts and you've practiced your pitch, you don't have time to be scared. But of course, the preparation is only half the battle. What happens when you're actually sitting in that chair and the grilling begins?
Oh, the grilling. That sounds scary, but it doesn't have to be. There are so many things you can do with your body language, your tone of voice, and even the questions you ask them at the end.
Exactly. But we're not going to talk about that today. We want our listeners to really focus on the prep phase first. So, everyone, your homework is to pick a company you like and try to find their core values. Maybe even practice your elevator pitch in the shower.
The shower is the best place for a dry run. The acoustics are great. Before we go, though, let's do a quick recap of our 10 native style terms for today.
Perfect. Let's see if we can tackle them one more time.
First, we had groundwork. Don't be like Lucas. Do your research and build a strong foundation before you go.
Then, identify the company's core values. These are the fundamental beliefs that guide everything they do.
Don't forget to tailor your stories and your resume. Adapt your experience to fit the specific needs of the company you want to work for.
Be ready to discuss your highs and lows. Knowing your strengths is good, but being honest about your challenges and how you overcome them is better.
Have your accomplishments ready. These are your successful results that prove you are a high performer.
Think about your attire. Choose formal or appropriate clothing that matches the company culture and shows you are professional.
Do a dry run. Practice your answers out loud until they feel natural and you can say them with confidence.
Perfect your elevator pitch. Have a short, 30-second introduction of yourself that is persuasive and clear.
Try to provide at least one insight. Show them that you have a deep understanding of their industry or their problems.
And finally, brush up on any skills that are a bit rusty. Polish your knowledge so you are ready for any technical questions.
What a list! I think these words are perfect for anyone looking to sound more professional and native-like in their next interview.
I agree. It's about that B2 level of precision, using attire instead of clothes or accomplishment instead of good thing really changes how people perceive you.
Definitely. Well, Chris, I'm actually going to go and brush up on my Italian now. I have a call with a client in Milan later, and I'm a bit out of practice.
Good luck with that. And to all of you at home, remember, the interview starts the moment you decide to apply. The more work you do now, the easier it will be later.
We want to know, what is your biggest interview fail or your best prep tip? Tell us in the comments below. We love hearing your stories.
We really do. And if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We don't want you to miss our next session, which is going to be a part 2 of this topic.
That's right. In the next episode, we are going to dive into the actual interview. We'll talk about body language, how to answer tricky questions, and how to close the deal.
It's going to be a masterclass in communication, so don't miss it.
Until next time, keep preparing, keep practicing, and keep being awesome.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Michelle.
See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. Keep practicing, keep connecting, and don't let your fluency fade to static. Leave us a comment with your stories, hit that subscribe button to join our community, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. See you in the next broadcast.